Hi, I'm Bae with Busy Bee, and we miss you guys in our sewing classes, and today we're going to make up a couple things that you can do at home. So first off, we're going to start with the masks, the medical masks to wear. It's not really hard. You can grab clothing, old clothes that you don't have, or if you have fabric that you'd like to use, that would be perfect. And first off, we're going to start tracing with the pattern that we have on the PDF file, and we're going to put those on our fabric. We have a main fabric and a lining fabric that we'll be using. So pick one color for the main and one color for the lining, and then we'll trace those out. Alright, and once you have the first one traced, you're going to flip it over onto the other side. So there's two that kind of look like horns. Alright, and then you can move on to your lining fabric. You'll only need one layer for the lining. Let's do it this way. Flip that one over. Okay, and then you can cut those out. Take our pieces that we've cut out and take it to the iron. And your iron's temperature should be at either cotton or whatever fabric you're using. I'm just gonna go over it real quick. So now we're gonna pin the two pieces together. Make sure they're lined up on all sides. And we're gonna pin just along this side where we'll be sewing. You'll do this for the lining and the main fabric. Alright. And you're going to take it to the sewing machine and sew these edges at 5/8 seam allowance. So now what you're gonna do is flip it. You're gonna keep it on the inside like this. Actually, hold up, this way. So you'll have it with the finished seam on the back side, and we're gonna push this back piece to one side so it lays flat. And we're gonna sew right on top of that line. So when you go, just match it up the best you can with your needle. Might take a minute to get, to get it right where it should be. And as you're going, pull the fabric on both sides so it makes sure that it's not gonna bunch up. Your top stitch. So you're going to want to do this for the main fabric and the lining. And there you go. Okay, and now we're going to take right sides together, so set this one upright like that, and this one's going to be on the inside. Match up the pointy side on the bottom and the kind of flat side on the top, and you're going to make sure that these seams are lined up right together at the top, so they go right together, and then you're going to pin it right there to make sure they don't come apart. And then you'll take pins and go down the sides from where you last pinned. and it's not going to match up because the lining is smaller. So do that on both sides. And you'll sew down this at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Make sure to back stitch. And then you'll pin the bottom side the same way, match up the seams right together. And they do get a little bulky right here, so if you want to clip the tops so your machine doesn't get stuck, that's good. And sew this side at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. As you get to the top, we're gonna do what's called pivot. You make sure the needle's down in the fabric and turn it. So we don't have a funny curve when we finish. And there's those sewn together. If you want, you can go through and clip the strings. I'm gonna leave them for now. And you're gonna flip it inside out. There's the inside and the outside. So when you're ironing this, make sure that the seams are pulled tight and that the fabrics are met at the seam and not bunched up on the sides. And now we're going to top stitch the edges so that they seem kind of like a clean finish. So we're going to pin these down and make sure they're even on both sides, and then we'll do a stitch that's 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So as you pin these, make sure the seams at the top and the bottom are met together. And like we did with the iron, you can stick your finger up and kind of tighten the seam. And you'll just pin it. Actually, we're going to do it on the other side. Just make sure you're doing it on the main fabric side. So when you're sewing this part, you're going to want to make sure your needle's in the middle. And we're going to go right, and we're going to line up the fabric with the inside of the foot of the presser foot. And we're going to back stitch. Go as slow as you need to. I found it always turns out better going slower rather than getting it done fast. bottom, you'll have a nice white line. There's your top stitch. For the casing, we're going to fold this over about 1/4 inch, and then we're going to fold it another. Just for however big your face size is, you're going to kind of measure that accordingly, and you're going to iron it down so it stays flat. Okay, and then do the other side. And then we'll take it over and get some pins on it to hold it right there. And then we'll sew that at 1/8 of an inch as well. All right, so this time we're gonna measure from the left side. We're gonna do 1/8 of an inch, so right on the inside of your presser foot. There's your casing. Let's get all these strings off. So for the next part, you're gonna want a small piece of elastic and a bodkin. You can use whichever elastic you like or some stretchy string if you have any. What you're gonna do is kind of attach the bodkin at the bottom. Push the middle thing up so it holds it. And slide this through the casing you've made. Pull it through. Take the bodkin off. And then, depending on how big your ears are or how long you want your face mask to reach on your face, that's where you'll sew it. So have someone help you tie it around your ear and kind of measure it out for you. And when you've got that measured, you can either sew across this with a sewing machine or a hand sewing needle. Sewing elastic can be hard on a machine, so if you want, take a pin and hold it and then pull the pin out when you've got it under the presser foot, just for surety. And then for this skinny of elastic, I'd say go back over it a couple times. So go. So once you've got your elastic sewn together, you can trim the sides and do that on the other side, and you'll have your mask.